Yesterday, we began learning about how the neshama is called an actual part of Hashem, and we explained the meaning, the definition of it being an actual part of Hashem. We brought a few proofs from the words in davening, from Sukkim, that the neshama is a part of Hashem. One place the Torah says that Hashem blew the neshama into us, which emphasizes how the neshama comes from the inner vitality of Hashem, not the way Hashem contracts and filters His truth to create the world, rather Hashem's innermost truth. The other pasuk says the neshamas come from Hashem's thoughts, which again, your thoughts as opposed to your words are the way you think yourself, not the way you project to the outside. And another proof is from the pasuk, you are called children of Hashem. And just like children, a child, emanates from the mind of the father, so too the Jewish people come from the Chachma of Hashem. We learned yesterday how the Chachma of Hashem is, although it's a sphere, it's the way Hashem. Yeah, that was great. Doing great. So although the Chachma of Hashem is a sphera, it's the way Hashem contracted Himself to relate to the world. It's not Hashem's essence. Yet and the neshama comes from Chachma. So why are we saying the neshama is actually part of Hashem? So we said yesterday that although the neshama comes only from the Chachma of Hashem, but the Chachma of Hashem and Hashem Himself are one. Why are they one? L'chera, the Maral correctly challenges the Rambam and says Hashem is beyond wisdom. So why are we saying that Hashem and His wisdom are one? So we started to do the note yesterday where the Alter Rebbe says that what the Rambam says that Hashem and His wisdom are one is something that the Kabbalists acknowledge as being true in a certain way, a certain truth to that. What is it? How is it true? The way it's true is that although Hashem is beyond Chachma, Hashem is higher than Chachma, yet Hashem still unites with His Chachma. Hashem is one with His Chachma, although He's beyond Chachma, which to our ears, that sounds like impossible. Either you're one with it, that's who you are, or you're beyond it. But the analogy the Kabbalists give is of the light of the sun, that the light of the sun, although it's not the sun itself, it's still one with the sun. So in a similar way, the spheres are called the secret of faith because we can't understand fully how they could both be something which is otherly. It's not Hashem's essence, the way Hashem contracts His light to create the world, and yet it's one with Him too. It unites with Him, becomes one with Him. So we're not going to fully understand that, but that's the truth that we're trying to convey. Let's see in the note in the inside. And the Kabbalists agreed with the Rambam. They agree with the Rambam when he says that the Hashem and His wisdom are one. Which causes the Parsman Ramak, as the Ramak writes in the Sefer HaPardis. We'll speak about Arizal, as we learned yesterday, even according to Arizal. According to Arizal, Hashem is far greater, far beyond, more than the way Ramak, the way the Ramak describes Hashem. Arizal describes Hashem in a far greater way. And yet, as we learned yesterday, that according to Arizal, Atzilus and Asiya, the highest world and the lowest world are equal. So even according to the Arizal, which for the Arizal says that all of these spheres are nothing compared to Hashem's essence. And they're all equal in the presence of Hashem. Unlike the Ramak, who says that the distance between Asiya and Atzilus is less than the distance between Atzilus and Ein Sof, the Arizal says, compared to Ein Sof, Asiya and Atzilus are exactly the same. So even according to Arizal, who says that the greatness of Hashem, the infinite light of Hashem, has no comparison to the spheres, yet Yatziva Milsa, still, what the Rambam says is still correct. How is it correct? Through Hashem's light going into many, many different contractions until it's able to become vested in the vessels of Atzilus. At that point, the way the light of Hashem unites with the vessels of Atzilus, at that point you could say Hashem and his wisdom are one. Hashem, the light of Hashem, and the vessels of Atzilus are one. The Zohar says, he and his lights are one, he and his vessels are one. Which on the surface, the fact that the Zohar puts into two sentences means that there's two different kinds of oneness. The way Hashem unites with his lights, the way Hashem unites with his vessels are two different kinds of unity. There is the way, in general, it says about the difference between the lights and vessels, that although lights and vessels are both united with Hashem, but the lights of Hashem have what's called dveikus nikeres. They have a noticeable rapture, noticeable dveikus, noticeable attachment to Hashem. But the vessels have what's called dveikus built in nikeres. They're attached to their source, but their attachment isn't as noticeable. So that's why the Zohar says he and his lights are one, he and his vessels are one. The Zohar puts them in two different sentences because it's not the same kind of oneness. It's not the same kind of truth, not the same kind of obvious. Hey, what's mafst du? Want to join us for some chassidus? Want to join us for some chassidus or no? Why not? Have some coffee at least. Dveikus? Dveikus means attachment, literally. Here's plug over there. You can fit it in the vinyl. Dveikus means that you are not satisfied being where you are right now. You want to go somewhere else. You are interested in something else. So it says about tzaddikim that they experience dveikus. They experience this yearning to cleave to their source. Or as Alter writes in chapter 19 in Tanya, that every soul is like a candle that flickers upwards, wants to go to its source. So that's the dveikus. So we're talking about the lights and vessels of Atzilus. When we say that they're in a state of dveikus, what that means is different to talking about a tzaddik being in a state of dveikus. A tzaddik or a Jew being in a state of dveikus means that we yearn to go to our source. But let's talk about the world of Bria for a second. The world of Bria, the previous Rebbe says, is called in Kabbalah a possibility for existence. It's not yet existence, it's a possibility for existence. What does that mean? So the previous Rebbe says the world of Bria, although there are souls, although there are angels there, the world of Bria is called the throne room of Hashem. It's the throne room, and just like in a throne room, there are people in the throne room that are standing in front of the king. So to the world of Bria, which is called the throne room, is a place where you could see the truth of Hashem. It's just like in the throne room, that the king is the center of the room and everyone's standing in front of the king with reverence. So to the world of Bria, the state of everyone in that world is to be attached, to be in a state of reverence and yearning and a dveikus to their source. So although they exist, there are souls and angels in Atzilus, in Bria, they exist. They're not a non-entity. There are things there besides the truth of Hashem. But what is their reality? Their reality is their dveikus, their attachment to Hashem. So that's the meaning of dveikus in the world of Bria. So there's things there. That's Bria means creation. Till the world of Bria, there's nothing else other than Hashem's truth. Before the tzimtzum, before the contraction of Hashem's light, which causes the world of Bria to exist, all there is, so to speak, the way the king is in his private chambers. There's no other entity other than himself. The world of Bria, the world of the throne room, is where there are other creatures, and it's a possibility for existence. It's called a possibility for existence because it's not a regular kind of existence. A regular kind of existence is where you're in your own shoes and your own self, and you're just like, not connected to your source. The world of Bria, although they physically, or not physical, but they are its distinct entity from their source, but it's called only the possibility for existence because they're submerged, like fish are submerged in water, in their source that animates them. So to the souls and the angels, the world of Bria, they are submerged in their source. That's a dveikus in the world of Bria. We're not talking about the world of Bria. We're talking about the world of Atzilus and the lights and vessels of Atzilus, and we're talking about their level of Deikus, which is a whole different kind of Deikus. What does it mean, the lights and vessels of Atzilus? What are we talking about here? There is the way the Eibishter contracts his light in order to have a relationship with us, so that we could exist and connect to Hashem. Hashem contracted himself into 10 spheres. So the 10 spheres have a similarity to our 10 soul powers. Why do we need to have 10 soul powers? We need 10 soul powers to function. Our 10 soul powers are our 3 intellectual powers and our 7 emotional powers. That's what makes us tick. That's how we interface with the world. So our 10 soul powers are not about, for us, they're not really just, they're not the way we contract ourselves to relate to the world. That's the way we need them to relate to the world. We want them to relate to the world. There's a world. We want them to relate to the world. So Hashem gave us these 10 soul powers to relate to the world. But by Hashem, the Gemara says, in the place where you find Hashem's greatness, you find His humility. Hashem's spheres are the source of our spheres. Our 10 soul powers emanate from Hashem's, so to speak, 10 spheres and Atzilus. So His 10 spheres are a method through which He connects with the world. They're not like necessary for us. Without my spheres, I can't do anything. Without my soul powers, I can't think, I can't feel. Yeah.
So these 10 are what?
Okay. Yeah.
And the first 3 you call them
intellectual, emotional. So these, all these 10 soul powers, just like in ourselves, they have both lights and they have vessels. What's the difference between a light and a vessel? So in our body, we also have lights and vessels. The soul energy that animates the body also has lights and vessels. For example, the ability to think. There's a way I have the ability to think before I have a body. My soul has the ability to see before I have a body. And now I have the vessel of my body contracts and hides the innermost light of the neshama, and it channels something of the truth of the neshama and projects in a way that I could see physically and I could understand things physically. My human mind, my physical eyes, they take the soul's energy and they obfuscate, they cover the inner truth of that light, they cover the higher parts of that light, and they take the hindermost part of that light and they put that into the body in a way so that it can work in a physical way. So that's the difference between the light and the vessel. The light is the energy of the soul, and the vessel is what makes it work for me. So I could think and feel and do and see physically. In Atzilus also, there is the infinite light of Hashem, and there are the vessels of Atzilus. The vessels of Atzilus, the Ramah compares them to different colored glasses. The different colors glasses, and the light which goes through different glasses projects according to the color of those glasses. So there is the truth of Hashem's infinite light, and there's a way Hashem's infinite light projects through the vessels of the world of Atzilus. So it sounds like the light itself is infinite light of Hashem. It's Hashem's truth. And then there's a vessel which superimposes upon the light so that the light should project in a certain way. Why is the light called the light of wisdom or the light of kindness? It's not because the light itself has any form on its own. It's only because of the vessel which filters the light. So the light should project in a certain way, similar to different colored glasses, which are, let's say, for a window or different colored glasses holding water. It's not that the light or the water is a different color. The light itself is simple, without any colors. But the color of the glass makes light project in red and yellow and blue, but the light itself is the same. So the vessels of the world of Atzilus, what is their role? Their role is that the light of Hashem should project into us in our world so that we should be able to receive it as Chachma, receive it as Bina, but not that the light itself is that way. So that would mean that the light is simple and the vessels have a form. The light has no form, the vessels have a form. That's one opinion in Kabbalah. Another opinion in Kabbalah, which says the light itself does have a form, and the vessels just crystallize that form. The light itself has some kind of form already, the vessels crystallize the form. That's another opinion in Kabbalah. But we're not getting into that. There's 2 opinions in Kabbalah right now. It's not really relevant. But what is relevant is even according to the opinion which says that the light has no form, and it's the vessel that what causes the light to project in a certain way, even according to that opinion, it's only a light that has gone through a tzimtzum that can be manipulated to project a certain way. Meaning, the infinite light of Hashem entering the vessels would not project any different way. The infinite light of Hashem would be unaffected by the vessels. The infinite light of Hashem would not be filtered and not be channeled by the vessels. In order for the vessels to have any effect on the light and to cause the light to project in a certain way, it's because the light of Hashem is limited. And because it's so limited, that's why it's possible for it to project in a certain way, but not because it's the light's limitation that allows it to project through the vessels in various ways. So the Alter Rebbe says that the truth of the Rambam says is true, that Hashem and His wisdom are one. What is he talking about? He's saying that Hashem's infinite light is one with Him, and so too Hashem's infinite light, as it comes down to the world of Atzilus, is also one with Him. Even after it goes in the vessels, which the vessels are all about light projecting. It's all about the light of Hashem not being in its pristine state. It's about the light of Hashem projecting to the outside. So not only the way the light comes into the world of Atzilus and has some limitation, but even the way the light of Hashem comes into the vessel. A vessel also has two parts. There's the inner part of a vessel and there's the external part of a vessel. It's like in this cup. This cup has the inner part of it and the outer part of it. What's a function of the outer part of a cup? What's a function of the inner part of a cup? The inner part of a cup is about receiving something. The outer part of the cup is about lifting it up and channeling it to somewhere else, to lift it up and to say l'chaim. So the inner part of the cup is about receiving. The external part of the cup is about giving. So we say that the truth of Hashem is one with the lights of Hashem and one with the vessels. It's different the way it unites with the light of Hashem, and different the way it lights the vessels. The unity with the lights of Hashem in the world of Atzilus is Dveikus Nikeres. The lights have no entity unto themselves other than revealing Hashem's truth. Therefore, they're like the light of the sun, which is nothing other than, no agenda other than attachment to the sun and projecting the sun. Versus the vessels, which are about projecting. Well, the light of the sun is not really about projecting. The light of the sun is just the sun is there and therefore the sun shines. It's not about there's no agenda there really. So in a similar way, the light of Atzilus is not about, the light is in a state of attachment, doesn't want to project, doesn't want to descend. It's the vessel which harnesses the light and causes the light to descend and to project to the worlds beneath it. The vessel is similar to the body, that just like the body takes the soul's light and changes it and manipulates it so that it can project to the world, so to the vessels of the world of Atzilus, they project and harness the lights of Atzilus so that they can project a certain way. So even the way the light of Hashem goes down to the world of Atzilus, which means first of all that it's limited, or according to one opinion of Kabbalah, that means it already has a form. And even if the way the light of Hashem goes down to the vessels of Atzilus, where the vessels of Atzilus are about Hashem's light projecting outwards, the external part of the vessel is about contracting the light so that it can descend to the world beneath it. But still, in the world of Atzilus, the world of Atzilus is called the world of unity, the world of oneness, the world of tikkun, the world of perfection. Because in Atzilus itself, there is nothing other than Hashem. There's nothing other than Hashem here either. But in Atzilus, it's obvious. In general, every world is associated with a different sphere of Hashem. The world of Atzilus, the main sphere in Atzilus is the sphere of Chachma. The Alter Rebbe heard from the Maggid, what is Chachma? Chachma is a place where there it's seen, there it's revealed how Einel Mavadeh, Hu Lavadeh, Hu Vein Zulase, how Hashem is alone and there's nothing besides. That's what the world of Atzilus is. So even the vessels of Atzilus, they're also in a state of attachment to Hashem, but not as great as the attachment as the vessels. Just like the spheres beneath Chachma are not as greatly attached to Hashem as the sphere of Chachma. The sphere of Chachma is a truth. Hashem is alone, there's nothing besides him. That's how the sphere of Chachma sees things. The whole world of Atzilus is illuminated by that truth. Although it's illuminated by that truth, it's still not the same as Chachma. And so the vessels of Atzilus also, they're not the same as Chachma, but they're still affected by Chachma. And therefore, in general, you can say about that world that it is in a state of achd, a state of oneness with Hashem. It says elsewhere that the infinite light of Hashem is far, far higher, infinitely higher than the level of Chach Bina V'das. Compared to Hashem's infinite light, the Chachma of Atzilus is considered like something of this world, something of the world of Asiya. Not just like the world of Asiya, Kasiya Gufness. It's considered like something which is bodily, which is so physical. The Chachma of Atzilus compared to Hashem's infinite light is considered to be such a contraction that it's so insignificant that it's similar to something which is physical. It's not any closer, as we said before. That Rizal holds that compared to Hashem's infinite light, the highest place, Chacham Atzilus, and the physical world are all equally insignificant. So, although it's true that the world of Atzilus is insignificant compared to the truth of Hashem, yes, but at the same time, it is still attached, still has a state of dveikus. Still, there's a truth there. There's a sense of Einil Mavad. There's a sense of there's nothing besides Hashem there. So Hashem unites with the spheres, specifically unites with the Chachma, and therefore you could say what the Rambam says that Hashem is wisdom number one. Where can you say that? You can't say that beyond that Tzilus. You can't say but beyond Hashem in his personal, in the analogy. You can't say that you can only say that where you're talking about the king in his chambers. But then there is the king himself, the way the Eibusher is beyond the world of Atzilus. So beyond the world of Atzilus, you cannot say anything about Chachma. There's no Chachma yet. There's no existence that feels as nothing besides Hashem because nothing exists. So only about Atzilus could you say that he and his wisdom are one. But you could stay there. That would work there. That is the truth there. That's where all neshamas come from. All neshamas come from that place of truth. Every neshama, the most important part of every neshama, the beginning of every neshama's reality is this level of chachma. But then what happens to the neshama? So as we'll see, the neshama goes through a gestation period, and the neshama moves from that truth, and it is somewhat changed. Let's read two more lines. And although there are myriads of various levels of souls, each level above the other, going on infinitely. For example, like the great virtue of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and the virtue of Moshe Rabbeinu, that certainly their souls are far, far beyond. Certainly they're far higher than the neshamas of our generations, which our generations are called the heels of Mashiach. So we are one of the reasons we're called the heels of Mashiach is because when someone comes closer to you, so you could first notice different features in them, and when they got really close to you, you could even see their heels. But so that the generation which is very close to the coming Mashiach is called the heels of Mashiach because it's right before the coming Mashiach. Mashiach is so close. They're at that stage when Mashiach is visible, he's about to come. Another reason why we're called the heels of Mashiach is because just like we're learning about Adam Rishon, that all souls were included within Adam Rishon, so too all souls are included in the soul of Mashiach. And there are some souls which are like the head, some souls which are like the feet. And the generation immediately prior to the coming Mashiach is called the heels of Mashiach. So our souls are far lower than the souls of previous generations. And yet, although we're far lower than the souls of previous generations, yet we are able somehow to connect to this truth of Chacham. How so? We're far lower than those souls. So how are we saying that our souls are able to have something the truth of Chacham? So Mr. will see tomorrow how although we Taka are very different to Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Moshe Rabbeinu, still there's something in us that connects with that, and by connection to the tzaddikim, we are able to reveal that within ourselves. So we shall see. Zaka Baruch.